Ilan ba yung surprise witnesses or evidences na ipapasok ng prosecution?
Unang-una, wala pong surprise witness na ipipresenta ng prosecution, and that goes also to the defense. Ang meron po ay reserved witness. Ibig sabihin, pag sinabi pong reserved witness ay meron pong nakatakdang araw kung kailan po ang magkabilang panig ay i-inform ang korte. No? 3 days may inform ang korte at magbibigay po ng general description kung alin po, sino po, at alin sa artikulo, ito ipapresenta itong witness na ito. Para hindi po magkagulatan sa trial. No? Para mapagbigyan po din po ng pagkakataon ng kabilang panig na mag-prepare po sila for an eventual cross-examination. So yun po pinapayagan ng korte, wala pong surprise witness. Meron pong way ang bawat panig na magkaroon ng reserve. Ibig sabihin, it's either hindi pa po available, kasi hindi lang witness ang pinag-uusapan natin. Even material evidence, testimonial evidence na hindi available nung oras na yon, meron pong discretion or merong leeway ang magkabilang panig, ang prosecution at ang depensa na magkaroon ng reserve witness.
So kung ito ay reserve witness or reserve evidences, sa ebidensya, does it follow na hindi ito namarkahan?
Yung mga ganun po, yes. Dahil but initially po, ang ginagawa po dyan sa pre-trial conference, supposedly is all evidence will be pre-marked. No? Tama po yun. But in the matter of the actual trial, kasi nakita naman po natin during the corona impeachment, even while the court is ongoing, meron pong mga ebidensya na hindi available during the pre-trial. No? Kaya nga po may leeway. That's precisely the reason why there's that reserved witness. No? Kasi ang anticipation is, what if the trial is ongoing and yet you need to provide some testimonial evidence, material evidence or witness that would corroborate your the allegation, for example, then that's precisely the reason why you allowed to have a reserved witness.
So yung reserve evidence and reserve witness, hindi tinukoy kung sino o ano as of now?
Generally, ang sinasabi po dun sa notice na natanggap natin from the Honorable Court ay at least kung magkakaroon po tayo ng reserve witness, meron pong general description. Ibig sabihin, pag sinabi mo pong general description, you don't need to specify exactly the name of the witness. Magbibigay lang po kayo, halimbawa lang, no? Without preempting the flow of the presentation of evidence by the prosecution. Just to give you an example, halimbawa po sa isang article na yan, let's say article ng sa SALN, no? So, of course, you would give kung reserve witness yan, magbibigay po kayo ng description na ito po ay galing sa ganiting opisina, ito po yung kanyang magiging testimonya patungkol doon sa specific documents.
So talagang makikilala lang siya o makikita sa kaso ng ebidensya 3 days prior.
3 days prior to the presentation of the material evidence, testimonial evidence, or the witness herself or himself.
Ilan po yung reserve witnesses nyo?
Sa ngayon, depending on kasi lahat po ng list of potential witnesses, sinubmit po natin yan sa pre-trial conference. No? So, of course, the court has that discretion. Ultimately, it would be, again, it will be the court's decision to allow. Kasi including not only the witnesses, but even the material evidence that we proposed to the court during the pre-trial conference.
Ilan po ang hostile witness ng prosecution kung meron?
So far, sa ngayon, I would not go into details, no? Kasi that would be part of the strategy of the prosecution. What I can tell you, sir, is that kung sino po yung ipapresenta ng House Prosecution Team na yan, dyan po sa trial na yan, starting July 6, lahat po yan ay kanilang magiging testimonya ay importante, essential, no, indispensable po doon sa pag-corroborate nitong mga ebidensya na to. It's either a material witness or a hostile witness.
Kung posible ba na yung witness ng depensa ay maging hostile witness naman ng prosecution?
That's possible po. That's possible, yeah. Posible po yun, mangyari.
Yung pong prosecution panel tried but failed to have yung BIR box pre-marked during the PTC. Ano pong susunod na step na pwedeng gawin ng panel para dun sa issue po na ito?
Well, the prosecution wanted sana the BIR box to be pre-marked, no? The content of this also be pre-marked, no? Kasi ang gusto natin is to as a supervised opening. Ibig sabihin, andun din po yung depensa. Andun din po ang ating mga prosecution. So, but then it was as what we learned during the pre-trial conference ay tinutulan po ito ng depensa. Even the marking nung box na yon as an evidence. Kaya hindi po siya na-mark as an evidence, no? As exhibit, no? So ang nangyari po ngayon, nag-submit po tayo ng House Prosecution Team ng ating pleadings, ng appeal natin sa court na sana ay magkaroon na ng pagkakataon na ma-pre-mark ito.
Yung ipipresentang witness on the first day of the trial?
Again, that's part of how we would expect the prosecution would also start with its presentation. That would also include witnesses. Kasi unang araw po we expect na pag-uusapan dyan the sequence of the articles of impeachment. That would also include the presentation of evidence and the witnesses. No? So inaasahan po natin first day, yan po flow. No? Again, I hope you would also understand that as part of the strategy of the prosecution is not to divulge further, no, kung ano po yung magiging approach ng ating prosecution pagdating sa actual na paglilitis, no, on July 6th.
Okay. Bago po sa natin kasama sa media, itong tanong ko lang, dito sa box galing sa BIR, gigil na gigil dito ang prosecution. Doon pa sa hearing sa House, gusto nang buksan. Hindi naman depensa, ayaw na ayaw pa buksan. How are you confident na pag nabuksan ito, home run ito for the prosecution?
Well, una, ito po yung mga ITR. We anticipate and we expect that the content of this box is the ITRs. No? Yung binabayad po na, para makita po natin yung lawful income kasi that would also determine yung lawful income ng ni Vice President na hindi nagre-reflect doon sa kanyang SALN. Kaya nga po meron tayong allegation of unexplained wealth kasi po yung kanyang SALN hindi po doon nag-reflect yung kumbaga it does not correspond with the report of the AMLA and that of the yung report ng AMLA and also many other documents that we have obtained during the pre-confirmation hearings. No, kung ito po ay mabubuksan, makikita po natin that would also give us a clear picture, financial picture talaga kung ano ba talaga yung lawful income ng ating Vice Presidente, no? Dahil hindi naman ho magsisinungaling ang laman ng box na yan. So we expect that the box contained yung ITRs ng income tax return ng Vice Presidente. Unang-una po, we understand the apprehension of Mr. Abe, no? Kaya na medyo hesitant siya. And we understand that. That's a raw emotion. Dahil yung na-experience po niya kay Vice President ay for a person it is not something worthy to relive to, no? I mean, at the very least, that's an embarrassing, it's an embarrassing event on a personal level na, na nakatanggap ng ganong klaseng, ganong klaseng treatment sa Vice President na ang kanyan lang kasalanan ay ginawa niya ang pag-uutos ng korte sa kanya. So, na hindi naman niya kasalanan, no? So ibig sabihin, we understand that apprehension. No? But, in matters of complying with the directive of the court, ang House Prosecution Team, as a matter of compliance, again, nag-submit po tayo ng mga list of potential evidence. These are potential evidence, no? At the end of the day, it is the court that will issue invitation in subpoena. So, ang pagkakaalam po natin ay once the court issues subpoena or invitation, mukhang yung ating choice whether to appear or not would not no longer be, will no longer be relevant, no? Especially if it's a subpoena coming from the court. What I'm trying to say is that the court is actually a non-partisan venue to discuss accountability mechanism of the Constitution. The Constitution speaks in a manner that does not actually see these charges associated with political partisanship or preferences. So, ang ginagawa po diyan sa Senado, exercising their constitutional duty to try and decide the impeachment charges against the Vice President does not actually link to partisan preferences or affiliation. This is the Constitution that speaks. So, as a matter of fact, exercising that right, the court has that discretion to issue invitation and subpoena. So, nasa korte na po yan, kung sino po yung kanilang iimbitahin, at sino po yung kanilang nire-require, halimbawa, based on the list that we have submitted to them, sino po yung kanilang ipapa-issuehan ng imbitasyon. So, again, we understand the apprehension dahil at the very least, embarrassing talaga po nito. So, hindi lang traumatic para sa akin, medyo, kung sa akin din nangyari yun, medyo traumatic din yung experience na yan.
Kung, I don't want to sound bilang isang unforgiving papa. Pero ito, Sheriff, nagtatrabaho sa korte. Sa lawful activity, sa constitutional duty, personal ano ba yun? Decision na makikilahok? Hindi ba dapat siya yung, sabi nga sa kalyan, ang tawag dito, mahinang nila lang to. Hindi ito dapat nasa korte. Kung ayaw niyang tumistigo sa kanyang karanasan.
Kaya nga po ang sinasabi po natin is that the court has that discretion to issue invitation and subpoena. And kung naka-issue naman po ang korte ng subpoena doon sa mga potential witnesses, sabi ko nga po, personal choice is already immaterial. Kasi the court is exercising their constitutional duty to try and decide the case.
Hello po, magandang umaga. Kay Representative Zia po. Nilabas na rin po ng Senate yung naging response ni Vice President Sara Duterte. Idinitalya na po ng kampo ni Vice President Sara yung response nila doon sa articles of impeachment in a 51-page document. So marami pong mga sinabi dito ang kampo, but primarily they're saying that the impeachment proceedings are void, being attended by evident bad faith and manifest partiality. Ano po ang masasabi ng prosecution panel doon sa naging sagot ni Vice President Sara Duterte?
Well, it only confirms our initial observation that the defense could not provide particular counter-evidence and argument to challenge, even to contest the allegations contained under the articles of impeachment. That from the very start, they've been harping about procedural objections, constitutional objections, which all of us know is already way past over that stage. So it only boils to the issue that the defense, again, we expect that in the pretrial brief, they can actually provide particular specific evidence, counter-evidence, to at least challenge yung mga accusations. But then again, the summation of the case that they would like to brought forth as indicated by that statement only validates our earlier observation na kulang talaga yung kanilang pwedeng may offer sa korte. This is also in complete opposite to what we've heard during the press conference that they conducted previously, that they are ready to face and answer these allegations at the proper venue. But unfortunate, the answer that they have provided to the court is just the same rehash claim that everything is void because from the very beginning they questioned the constitutionality in the process by which the impeachment was initiated and brought to the Senate.
Sir, part po noong reply ni VP Sara, yun daw pong ginawa niyang alleged threats against President Bongbong Marcos, etc., ay bahagi daw po ng freedom of expression. Your thoughts po on that?
All lawyers would agree that there's no such thing as absolute freedom. All freedom are also subject to some regulation. One cannot go around the streets accusing anybody of something without the necessary consequence of that action, either verbally or acted upon. So the threat As we have seen during the press con na pinatawag niya, nakita natin, direct threat yun sa presidente. It's not actually her utterances that should be focused on. It's the effect of that utterances on the person that is being threatened. No? In sinabi niya sa presidente, sa unang ginang, no? At saka sa former speakers. I think for someone who has that, who enjoys a certain privilege, influence, and following, we should also take that into consideration. Na hindi mo po pwedeng hindi bigyan ng seriousness itong threat. And even herself qualify the degree of threat actually saying these words, no? Siya mismo ang nagsabi, no joke. No joke, no? So, it's for the court's appreciation. That's why we have forwarded this to the Senate, so that the Senate, acting as an impeachment court, can actually and finally settle whether our claim and our allegation that this is indeed constitute betrayal of public trust, this would constitute high crimes, would the Senate be able to at least appraise with the evidence that we will present. Now, mind you, we are confident that we have the evidence to present before the Senate. So it's for them to convince the impeachment trial na parte ito, saklaw ito, doon sa freedom of expression. Na wala dapat consequences sa pagbabanta ng tao. And remember, as a public official, it is also our civic duty to involve ourselves in value formation para tayo po ay pamarisan ng mga kabataan, ng bawat Pilipino, na maganda dapat ang asal na pinapakita natin sa kanila. At the very least, behavioral-wise, I think we owe to our Filipino constituents, no, sa sambayan ng Pilipino, that as elected official, we also have to carry ourselves in the best manner that we can and also engage ourselves in value formation. To a very least, and the societal effect of the threats is nagiging nanonormalize yung pagbabanta sa kapwa-tao na hindi dapat yun nangyayari kanino man at maski anong oras.
Sir, sa nangyayaring galawan ngayon, na may galawang politika na may kulay ng legal, makakabit ba natin yung dulo na paghahain ng malawak na pulungan na mapaalis o mapasipa ang pangalawang Pangulo?
Sa ngayon po, maganda po yung, sabi ko nga po, matagumpay yung naging pre-trial conference. At tayo po ay naniniwala at may tiwala sa Senado na sila po ay i-exercise o gagampanan ang kanilang binigay na constitutional mandate o mandato, obligasyon pagdating po sa paglilitis ng pangalawang Pangulo. Tayo po ay optimistic na dahil po sa ating maipapresenta ng mga ebidensya ay makakamit po natin yung ninanais natin. But at the end of the day, tayo po rin ay naniniwala na ang Senado ay magiging impartial, ang korte, na hindi po to kikiling kung kanino man. Ang basihan lang po nila ang ebidensya at ang magiging naniniwala po tayo na kung ano man po yung magiging verdict or resolution or judgment na sa oras po na matatapos na itong impeachment trial ay base po din sa ebidensya at pangalawa kung paano po ma-appreciate ng ating mga senador at na umupong hukom yung gravity po ng charges at the same time yung paano po na-corroborate ito ng ating mga testimonya ng ating mga magiging witnesses. But sabi nga po nila impeachment is sui generis. It's a combination of legal at saka political. No, tama po 'yon. Kaya nga po ang ating taong bayan invested so much in the issue of impeachment dahil isang taon na po ito natin na pag-uusapan. At alam po nila na naintindihan na po ng taong bayan na ito po ay walang kinikilingang partido o politika. Ito po ay para po mabigyan natin ng halaga ang constitutional accountability po na sinasabi ng Constitution na maski sino ka man, maski gaano kataas ang iyong posisyon, aabutin din ho kayo ng kamay ng accountability. So naiintindihan po ng ating taong bayan yan. Kaya nga parati po natin sinasabi, hindi lang po ang prosecution, ang defense o ang korte mismo ang ini-evaluate or ebidensya ang ini-evaluate lang ng Senado. Pati nga rin po tayo at ang Senado ay minamasdan po at ini-evaluate po din po ng taong bayan. Pero ganun pa man, naniniwala po tayo sa impartiality ng magiging hukom. Ang Senado nauupong hukom sa impeachment po na ito.
Sir, kasi sa galawang ngayong politika, nakikita naman natin ang 13 ngayon ng mayorya at kulang pa ng 3 para magkaroon tayo ng paghuhusga sa layon ng malawak na kapulungan.
Well, sa issue naman po 'yon, issue naman po 'yon doon sa leadership ng Senado. Hindi naman ho siya directly connected sa impeachment. Nang na-resolve naman po doon kung sino magiging Senate President.
Siguro not necessarily impeachment question. May namaril nung Lunes, may nanaksak nung nakaraang linggo sa Cavite, tapos may napigilan daw sa Tulo sa Leyte na maguhuramentadong estudyante. Sinisisi dyan sa social media. Hindi naman social media yata ang pinakamagaling mag-entice. Merong matandang sinasabi, 16 years old siya, bumaril siya ng kaklaseng sa San Bede. Tapos yung anak ng matandang yun, nanununtok nga ng sheriff social media ba talaga o government official ang nagbibigay sa atin ng normalization ng mga bagay na violente?
Kaya nga po sinasabi natin, bilang parte ng sambayan ng Pilipino, it's also our civic duty na magbigay po ng magandang ehemplo. No? On the issue of yung nangyari po na shooting sa Tacloban, kasi nagiging usapin po ito ng national discourse, babalikan nga yung Juvenile Act, etc., etc. But at the end of the day, it's really about how we carry ourselves, how we connect with our community. No? Kaya nga tama po yung sinabi, mayroon po tayong obligasyon at responsibilidad bilang adult, na hindi ho tayo magdadagdag doon sa pagno-normalize nung hindi magandang asal, hindi magandang mga pinagsasabi, dahil ultimately bilang isang halal na opisyal, meron ho kayong impluwensya at on one point or the other. Kasi the reason why naandyan po kayo, dahil may nagtitiwala po sa inyong mga tao, nagagampanan nyo ang inyong trabaho ng tapat. So, dapat po, dahil yung pangalagaan po natin ng tiwala ng taong bayan na naghanal po sa atin, na gagampanan po natin ang ating trabaho ng tapat, na hindi po tayo gagawa ng anything that would violate, at the very least, that would, betray the trust that given to us by the people.
Galit na galit ang tao sa 14 years old na makakatakas sa pananagutan sa batas. Ay, yung 64 years old na tumakas sa Senado sa pananagutan sa batas.
I get
Pinapalakpakan ng iba
well, tama po yun. It should be applied to all. Policies and laws should be applied to whoever. Dapat po ang tingin sa batas ay pantay-pantay. Tama po yun ang sinabi niyo.